Hi, I'm Luke Chafer, and today I'm joined with Ruaridh Fleck, who's running for the VP Student Activities role at the SRC. So my first question to you, Rory, is why should students vote for you?
Yeah, I think in one word, I think I've got the passion. I think student activities is really about bringing people together and creating fun and inclusive events. I think with my experience, I've demonstrated that I can do that. And the very most, I really love doing it. I kind of live for it. And I think this would be the perfect role for me. And I hope to share with other people at university the experience that I've had.
So you talked there about your experience in other roles. Would you be able to outline some of those for us? And what would you say your greatest success has been whilst you've been out at uni?
Oh, difficult question. I think finding the Goodbye Collective, that was very terrifying. I was trying to sell these tickets for an event, and you feel like it's just going to flop and everything's going to go wrong. That's kind of what events are like in a nutshell. And a lot of things do go wrong, but you persevere. And when it comes together, and when you look back and think about the people you've met, it's just a wonderful feeling. And that was really scary. But I'm really happy I did it, and it's still turning out well. But I've also been part of the GEU. That was a really fun and exciting experience. I learned loads about the sort of behind doors institutions and how things work, and also created my own society as well. Just in terms of the paperwork, the collaborating with other societies, getting that kind of perspective was really interesting.
Move on to talk about your manifesto.
Sure.
You talk most about the environment out of the three candidates. So I'd like to know what you envisage your plans to look like for what you call the Freshers Week style events in the run up to COP26.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I'd love to have some, depending on the COVID restrictions, but hopefully, yes, we'll have an online campaign and also a kind of in-person campaign. But I'd love to throw some workshops on sustainability, have speakers come in from different places. I'd like to coordinate a movement with other sabbatical positions in Glasgow and afar. Hopefully get some student marches going, and hopefully a kind of coherent student media campaign that is really noising up about the COP26. I think it's the biggest, I think it'll be the biggest climate conference ever, and I think it's a real opportunity to make a change while we still can. I hope it will be a week of fun.
Another area that you speak about more than other candidates is safe spaces.
Yeah.
And I want to draw into something that's been big in university news in the past week in terms of the racism report. It specifically mentioned sort of social spaces within the unions. How do you think your role as student activities could influence change?
Yeah, no, very, very good question. I think hopefully with trying to integrate some of the international societies a bit more, sometimes they're a bit on the peripheral, and also just have greater collaboration and facilitate that collaboration, because it can be really intimidating actually going and talking to another society when you've never met any of them. And I guess I really want to facilitate greater cooperation. And I think what will be essential to that is more informal events, getting people talking from different backgrounds, really pushing the campaign weeks such as RAG, and COP26 will hopefully be another one, really getting everyone together on these specific weeks to push for change and to push for sort of wide-ranging sort of integration.
Okay, that leads on to the next question I wanted to ask about cross-campus collaboration.
Yeah.
So you've spoken about the dinners between sort of the unions and societies. How do you feel they would actually benefit students at large as opposed to just the people on the committees within those societies?
Very good question. Yeah, I think that the way I see the societies is that more or less most people will join us university society. So I would hope it would sort of create a larger effect. And I think what's really important about the informal dinners is that it will, a lot of differences in my experience and what facilitates these people coming together and having these events. It's often not formal meetings. It's often you meet someone, you have a coffee, they show you someone else, and it has a kind of ripple effect. And I think by creating more informal dinners amongst societies like the Hilton, but also amongst the cross-campus, the people the university areas will come together, and I think that will have a kind of ripple effect that will be felt by all students at University of Glasgow.
Okay, so whilst we're talking about that, I just want to clarify something. Because to me, it seems a little contradiction in terms of a top-down sort of work on these informal events. So I just want to know who would be paying for these informal dinners? As you know, would that be from the SRC or is it clubs and societies? How would that work?
I think I guess that's the beauty of the informal events. They don't necessarily have to be a dinner at the Hilton. I think it could be quite simple as just an informal, like a drink or, a coffee or, it doesn't have to be, and I think we can be quite creative with this. I think one of the projects we did in North Glasgow was like a cycle run. I think there's loads of creative ways that we can facilitate more informal events. And I think the real trick to that would be getting the ball running after Freshers Week, because I think there's a nice feeling in the air and you get to kind of know everyone, but there's often few opportunities throughout the year for more collaboration to happen. And it can be, as I said before, very intimidating reaching out to someone on an email or such.
Okay, so just finally, as someone with, as you mentioned, an interest in the arts and have that background, I'd really like to know what your dream Freshers Week would look like.
Yeah, for sure. It would be one of very different events going on. I think lots of like artistic and expressive events, workshops, and I think that's really important in terms of like students' mental health, being able to express themselves. And I also think, having also nights that weren't orientated around drinking, that were more just about social, I mentioned the sort of bike ride. So a multitude of events, of sort of workshops, speakers, on the ground events. I think that we could expand a bit further out of the university bubble, maybe give people a taste of other places in Glasgow University. One that was very diverse and different. I like the feeling of a day when you've had, you've woke up, you've met someone, you've gone to an event, and then in the evening you've had a more like drinking social event. A multifaceted week.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.